Hi everyone, my name is Chidiogo and today I'll be explaining um, budget control, focusing on static and flexible budget, and then we'll connect it to performance evaluation using ROI and residual income. Budgets are critical to an organization's success, and to be useful, they must be accurate but also flexible to take into account the various changes in an organization's finances. Budget control is a key managerial accounting tool that helps organizations plan, monitor, and control costs and performance. Let's look into static budget. What is static budget? A static budget is a projection of budget data at one level of activity. A static budget is prepared for a single level of activity. For example, if a company plans for 10,000 units, the budget remains the same even if the actual production is 8,000 units or more or even less. A static budget report is appropriate for fixed manufacturing costs and for fixed selling and administrative expenses. But there's a problem with static budget. The problem with static budget is that it is not realistic because it doesn't adjust to actual activity levels and it doesn't adapt to change also. Now to flexible budgets. A flexible budget, unlike static budget, uh, adjusts cost based on actual activity level. It projects budget data for various levels of activity. It separates variable costs, and this changes with activity, and fixed cost that remains constant. Sorry, it is basically a series of static budgets at different levels of activity. Why flexible budget reports are important and useful. Flexible budget report provides a fair performance evaluation. It compares actual results versus adjusted budget. It helps identify variances, and it also helps to improve cost control and decision making. For example, instead of comparing actual costs to a static plan, managers compare them to what costs should have been at an actual activity. There are steps involved in developing a flexible budget. First of all, we identify the activity index and the relevant range of activity. Identify the variable cost and determine the budgeted variable cost per unit of activity for each cost. Next, we identify the fixed cost and then determine the budgeted amount for each cost. Then prepare the budget for selected increments of activity within the relevant range. Now let's move to the performance evaluation tools. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to be discussing two, which is ROI and return and residual income. ROI is return on investment, and the main basis for evaluating the performance of a manager over an investment center is called an ROI. ROI is a useful performance measurement because it shows how effectively the manager uses the assets at his or her disposal. ROI usually answers the question, how effectively are we using our resources? Now we move to residual income. Residual income is the income that remains after subtracting from the controllable margin the minimum rate of return on a company's average operating assets. The goal of residual income is to measure how much extra profit a business or a manager generates after covering the cost of capital. But this has some limitation. It depends on the required rate of return. The residual income result changes based on the cost of capital used. Residual income usually answers the question, are we creating value beyond the minimum expected return? So now we move to difference between ROI and residual income. ROI is a percentage, so it's simple to interpret and compare across departments or companies of different sizes. ROI is the controllable margin divided by average operating assets. Residual income, on the other hand, is the income that remains after subtracting the minimum rate of return on a company's average operating assets. ROI sometimes provides misleading results because profitable investments are often rejected if they would reduce ROI but increase overall profitability. Because ROI is a ratio, it allows managers to compare performance across divisions. It allows managers to compare against their competitors and also track efficiency over time. So in summary, static budgets are fixed and less useful. Flexible budgets adapt to activity and improve control. ROI measures efficiency while residual income measures real profitability. So I'll leave you all with a question. Why might a manager prefer using residual income instead of return on investment when making investment decisions? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thank you.